Wait until you see how this plain MDF cutout becomes a dreamy angel ornament. I'll show you step by step how to decoupage, mold, and paint every detail, from the delicate clay angel to the soft silver accents. It's an easy yet magical project. Hello, my crafty friends. I'm Donna from Mason Creations, etc., and welcome to my channel. If you're ready, let's get started making a mess. I've had these wooden cutouts in my stash for a really long time. Well, since 2021. They're a little bit flimsy, so I'm going to glue two of them together for a little more stability. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. After gluing, I'll add some clips all the way around and let them dry overnight. Now it looks like some weird alien device, but just wait, in a little while it's going to be so pretty. Next morning, and it's dry. I'm removing the clips and giving it a light sanding, especially around the edges, and then wiping off the dust. Because I'm going to be decoupaging, I'll need to paint both sides of my wooden base white. I'm using Dixie Belle chalk paint in the color Cotton. Make sure you always paint white or very light off-white wherever you're going to decoupage rice paper or a napkin. White allows the colors in your images to look more vibrant. Dark colors will make your images look dark and muddy. I'm not painting the hanger at the top. I'm going to do something special there, so it doesn't need any white paint. Make sure you stick around to see what I do. Friends, I have no patience. I painted one side and then the other, holding it up. Then I put a pipe cleaner through the hole and hung it up in my studio to dry for about 30 minutes. This rice paper is just so pretty and Christmassy. I'm going to cut out the paper for one side of the ornament in the red. The other side will be part red and part white, with that pretty border running through the center of the front. I traced around the ornament just to get an idea of where to cut, but I cut a little larger and will remove the excess after it dries. I'm using Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish in a dead flat finish as my decoupage glue today. This product can be used as a decoupage adhesive as well as a varnish, which is true for all the Polyvine formulas. It dries to the touch in an hour and cures in 5 days or less. It's moisture and heat resistant as well as chemical stain and abrasion resistant. It's water-based, so there are no harmful fumes. The most popular brand of decoupage glue takes 28 days to cure. I'm using a medium grit sandpaper to remove all the excess rice paper from around the edges. I'm sanding in a downward motion. This cuts the paper clean right at the edge of your base. I'm going around the entire thing until all the excess paper has been removed. Make sure you don't go in an upward motion. That could lift your paper. Now I'm going to decoupage the front of the ornament, and I'm using Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish again. I'm using the dead flat finish because I'll be sealing this with the dead flat as well. I want this ornament to be soft and frosty looking, no shine this time. This and all the products you're going to see me use today came from DecoupageNapkins.com, my wonderful sponsors. I let that dry for about an hour, and now I'm sanding off the excess like I did with the other side. I'm going to add another coat of varnish to both sides, and I'll let that dry for an hour before moving on. How fun is this? I found silver ink. I'm going to add some shadowing around all the edges using this pretty sparkly ink. I'm using a blending brush and going in a circular motion around the ornament. I'm starting my circle on the paper towel and then moving up onto the ornament. Where are you all watching from, my crafty friends? Let me know in the comments. I just love to see what cities and countries all my friends are watching from. I'm filming from sunny Las Vegas, Nevada in the United States. I'm mixing together texture paste and Dixie Belle pearlescent paint. I'm going to stencil a large snowflake on the back of this ornament. I sprayed Pixie repositionable stencil spray on the back of my stencil and let it dry for about 10 minutes. This will prevent any mediums from bleeding under your stencil. I used a palette knife to apply my mixture evenly over the stencil. Once the stencil is removed, there is a beautiful snowflake. Make sure you wash your stencil right away. You don't want any mediums drying on it. That will ruin your stencil. I'm using my favorite, DOS clay, to make some embellishments for this project. DOS clay is so easy to work with, dries quickly, and has very little shrinkage or cracking when dry. It's perfect for making molded pieces. If you want to see an in-depth video on how to work with air dry clay, click the banner in the top right corner of your screen. I'll also leave you a link for that video in my description box below. After pressing the clay into the molds, I'm scraping off the excess with my palette knife and then smoothing the clay out with some water. Then I'll put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. Freezing the clay makes it rigid so they just pop out of the mold easily. No tiny little limbs will break off. Fresh out of the freezer, watch how easily this just pops out of the mold. It's frozen solid, so it's rigid. Make sure you remove the clay from the mold right away as soon as you take it out of the freezer. I'm going to lay this flat on some butcher paper to dry. I'll keep flipping it once in a while during the day, but it will need to dry overnight. I made some cute little scrolls with the clay, and I'm going to take them all apart and glue them to the hanger at the top while the clay is still wet. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue. It's the best I've found for gluing wet clay. I made these in the same way that I made the angel. The only difference is that I'm attaching these while the clay is wet. I need them to bend and conform around the hanger as they dry. I'm going to let these dry overnight as well. Because you're watching this video today, DecoupageNapkins.com is going to give you a 10% discount on one order that's a minimum of at least $50. This is a one-time discount and is good on your entire order when you use the code MASON10 in all caps at checkout. You can also use this discount in conjunction with the free shipping on orders over $75. So now you can get that mold you've been eyeing or some additional rice papers you've been wanting. Even if you've been ordering from them in the past, you can still take advantage of this one-time 10% discount when using the code above. I'll leave all this information for you in my description box below. I used Pentart paint in the color silver to paint the hanger on both the front and back. Dixie Belle and Pentart are my two favorite paints, and you'll see me use them a lot. I use them because they both go on so smooth and creamy and have outstanding coverage. Notice that even their metallic paint covers in just one coat, which is amazing. No other metallic craft paint does that. If you're enjoying this video, please let me know by hitting that like button. And why not share this with a friend? Thanks for doing that. You won't want to miss any of the new projects coming up, so don't forget to subscribe. While painting the hanger on the top, I thought the bottom looked a little plain. So I decided to make a small embellishment on the bottom as well. I let them dry for a few hours and then painted them silver too. I'm using a small sponge dauber to paint the edge silver. Sponge daubers have a flat surface which is perfect for painting edges. I test all the products that I recommend in my videos. I won't recommend anything that I haven't used myself and prefer. If I'm recommending it, you can bet it's a great product. Each product will be listed in my description box below and will have a blue link to make it easy for you to find. Any of the links I provide are safe for you to click on. I'm going to give the silver hanger an embellishment at the bottom, a coat of Polyvine Heavy Duty Wood Varnish, but this time I'm using the satin finish. I'm going to do some antiquing and need a shiny surface for that. I'm making sure not to get any on my rice papered surface. I want that to remain matte, a soft finish with no shine. I let the varnish dry for an hour and now I'm mixing up my antique. I'm using some dark gray paint and a glazing medium. I put just a drop of paint in a paper cup and added about a teaspoon of the glazing medium. I always add a tiny bit of water. I like my antique to be a little runny. The glazing medium extends the dry time of your paint, so you have a little longer to work with it. I'm brushing my antique on the piece, going over and around all the embellishments. I'm doing this in sections and wiping the antique off with a soft dry cloth right away before it can dry. Because of the gloss finish, it will wipe off the surface and stay in all the cracks and crevices, showing the details of the mold. Antiquing gives your embellishments some depth and dimension, making everything look 3D instead of flat. What a difference it makes. Everything just comes to life now. And again, I'm making sure not to get any of the antique on the rice paper area. It doesn't have a shiny finish, so the antique won't wipe off at all. After the antique dried, I put a coat of varnish on all my silver areas to seal my antiquing. And I let that dry for an hour. Now I'm using Sizzix Luster Wax to add some highlights to the silver. This will add a beautiful shine. I'm putting a small amount of the rub on my finger and rubbing it together with my thumb. Smearing it around like that prevents a large amount of your product ending up in one place. I'm just grazing over all the high areas. My clay angel has dried and now it's going to get some paint. But first I'm smoothing out the edges with some fine grit sandpaper. All the paint I'm using is by Pentart, one of my favorites. I'm going to give you all the paint colors right up front, and then you can kick back and enjoy watching me paint while I tell you a little bit about my sponsor. The background sky is country blue. Face, arms, and legs are compact powder. Her dress is country rose. The moon and stars are butter. The wings are Dixie Belle cotton. Her hair is white coffee, which is such a great blonde color. Flowers are rose and the leaves are country green. DecoupageNapkins.com has such a great selection of napkins that you can purchase one at a time. They carry many other craft supplies such as rice paper, paint, clay, molds, and a great selection of Polyvine products. Over 9,000 products and growing. They are wonderful to work with and will send out your order fast. You'll receive free shipping on orders over $75 and special bonus points for orders over $100. Subscribe to their newsletter by entering your email address and you'll receive 10% off your next order. This discount is separate from the Mason 10 discount and may be used on a separate order. They are truly your one-stop shop for craft supplies. Make sure you check them out. I'll be leaving links for all the products I use in my description box below, as well as more information on the previously mentioned promotions. Please note that any of these promotions are subject to future changes. I know these colors look oversaturated right now, but wait until you see the end result. Everything is going to look misty and frosty with a pearlescent glow. I let my paint dry for about 30 minutes, and then I gave the medallion a coat of the heavy-duty wood varnish in the satin finish, and I let that dry for an hour. I'm going to be antiquing this, so I need the shine again for the process to work properly. I let the varnish dry for an hour, and now I'm ready to antique. I'm using the same gray antique I made earlier. I'm brushing it over the entire medallion and then wiping it off right away before it can dry. This will bring some really nice depth and dimension to this little medallion. I let this dry for an hour or so. Because of the glazing medium, it takes a little longer to dry. And then I'm going to do some dry brushing to give this a frosted, misty appearance. Okay, let's do some dry brushing. I'm using my Dixie Belle white paint. This is going to tone down all the colors and give this piece a frosted look. I'm going to highlight everything by doing some dry brushing. I'm dipping just the tip of my brush into the paint. I'm wiping off most of it on the side of the paint jar. Then wiped even more of it off on a paper towel. You want your brush almost completely dry to get the proper effect. I'm skimming just the tip of my brush across the high points on the embellishment. You don't want the paint to go into any of the cracks or crevices, just lightly across the top. I let that dry for about 15 minutes and then added a coat of my dead flat varnish, so this will have a soft appearance. I'm going to do that same dry brushing technique, but this time I'm using Dixie Belle's Pearlescent Glaze. This is so pretty and will give the medallion a pearly glow. This is a glaze, so it doesn't need a sealer since this is just an ornament. If you were using it on something like furniture, you would need to seal it for durability. I'm using my silver paint and a sponge dauber to get the edge of the medallion just like I did on the wooden base. I'm going to glue this beautiful silver trim around the edge of the medallion from underneath. This way, just one side of those loops will show from the underside. I'm using that same trim to edge the wooden base. I put it right down on the center of the edge so the loops show on the front and back of the ornament. You're going to see me use a lot of different tools that make life so much easier. Things like a turquoise cup cradle to keep round objects from getting away, a bow dabra that makes bows in a snap, a water brush for separating rice paper and napkins, nail art brushes for fine detail work, palette knives, a rhinestone picker, and others. All of these items are listed in my description box below and my favorite tools section, just in case you'd like to check any of them out. Now I'm going to glue my angel medallion to the center of the base. I measured and added some painter's tape to guide me. I'm using Aleene's tacky glue and then adding a couple clips to hold it in place. I let this dry overnight. I'm going to use my mini bow dabber tool to make a beautiful bow for this project. There are vertical slits and horizontal slits. Add a thin cord or a small ribbon through the vertical slits. Then you can layer your ribbon back and forth in the horizontal slits, using as many layers of ribbon or as many different types of ribbon that you want to. After you have all your layers of ribbon, pull up the two ends of your small cord in the vertical slits and tie them together. You can then safely lift up your newly made bow. I bring the cord around to the back and tie it in a knot. Now you can add an embellishment to the center of the bow or another tiny bow. I just love this little tool. I made 2 bows, one for the front and one for the back. Don't forget, all of the wonderful products I'm using today can be found at my favorite place for craft supplies, decoupagenapkins.com, and I'll leave you links in my description box below. If you enjoyed watching this little moon angel come to life, hit that like button and subscribe for more relaxing, beautiful decoupage and clay tutorials. I've added a link to my Christmas projects playlist that I think you may enjoy. Click the picture on the right to be taken directly to that playlist. I'm so happy you were here with me today, and thanks so much for watching. I can't wait to see you all next week. I'm working on a new project with you in mind. You can subscribe by clicking my picture in the top right corner.